If you're in the market for a luxury sedan, it's kind of mainstream to head for the German automakers. And why wouldn't you? I mean, they're luxurious and very well built. But if you look outside the box for a second, you'll notice that most brands try to achieve their own personal benchmark for luxury in at least one of their vehicles. And sometimes they offer much more for the money compared to others. INFINITI has already defined itself as a luxury brand, and next to me is its best-selling sedan. But does it live up to the expectations? Let's find out. What is up, you guys? Master Cars Review here, and this weekend we're going to be taking a look at the 2019 INFINITI Q50. INFINITI Lebanon have offered us this liquid platinum Q50 for the next couple of days. It features graphite leather seats on the inside, as well as two infotainment screens and a sunroof. Out of the 4 trim levels, Pure is the base model, starting at just under $40,000 in Lebanon. Once you get in the Q50, it gives a completely different vibe to the Germans, and I like that. The first thing that hits you is the dual screen configuration that you get in the center, with the top screen being for your navigation and rear view camera, and the bottom 7-inch touchscreen for most functions. Now the steering wheel is nice and sporty. You have small 10 and 2 notches at the top with a nice INFINITI emblem in the center. And I quite like how this portion is like driver oriented, just because you have this nice line and the difference in the trim on the center console going through the center of the dashboard. Now the seats are pleasant, though on the wider side for me, but I mean they're 8-way power adjustable, so you can adjust them the way you want. Now the leather seats are standard, as well as this sunroof, but unfortunately heated seats are optional, as we have on this model. Now the steering wheel is a 3-spoke multifunction leather wrap steering wheel. As you can see, you have the stitchings around, which are really nice, and I quite like how you hold the steering wheel. You have a nice thumb rest right here. It has really nice feel to it, and like this aluminum that gives it like an expensive feel to the steering wheel. Now you have controls on both sides. You have your volume commands here with the voice command, telephone, and all of that. And on the right you have your cruise control commands with these buttons controlling this screen right here. For example, just go like this and gives you all different sorts of settings. And then coming on to the gauges, well, I really like these gauges. I really like the font that they use in them and this cool design that you have on the side. I mean, they're really easy to use and they're like backlit in here, so it's really nice. And on the side you have your traction control button with the start stop and the button to open the trunk. And then coming onto the door right here, you have your window commands, and I really like how this area is like slanted. It's all leather wrapped, as you can see, very high quality. And what I really like about this car is this door handle, like the way it curves up, and it's all in aluminum. And you have your memory seat buttons right here at the top. The interior of the Q50 features somewhat of a user-friendly layout, with everything being right to your reach and a minimal amount of unnecessary buttons. The two displays render the cabin even more upmarket, especially when lit at night. You'll also find leather wrap materials everywhere with white stitchings to match with our caoutchouc aluminum trim. Now coming on to the center of the dashboard right here, you have an 8-inch infotainment screen and you can control it via this button here. You have a display button so you can put the audio, the fuel economy, and the eco driver port. Going to the audio, for example, is going to have a Bluetooth or radio. It depends on what you have. And then down below you have a 7-inch touchscreen through this button here in menu, and it's actually really nice. It's a bit laggy, it's not one of the best systems, but I mean it's good. I mean, I really found it really easy to use. Going, for example, to driving performance, you can have the G meter and more settings. We're going to be scrolling into that later in the video, but there's that. You have the climate control button too, and you have these settings. It's a dual zone climate control in this car. And then below that you have your CD input with buttons for the radio, media, volume knob is here, and then below that you have your heated seat buttons, hazards, and then there's like an ashtray with a cigarette lighter, which you can use as a 12-volt power outlet. Now coming on to the INFINITI gear shifter right here, we have a 7-speed Steptronic transmission in this car, which works really well. We're going to be testing it in our test drive later in the video too. You have this nice leather with the stitchings that you got. As we talked about, this knob which goes up and down to control your top screen. And then you have the driving modes right here. If you want to go, for example, to sport, standard, or snow. And of course you can go to personal to personalize the driving modes. So there's that. Now let's go ahead and check out the engine in the Q50. Our Q50 gets a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 208 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. The only transmission available is a 7-speed auto. Now this guy right here is going to explain us more about the engine options in the Q50. Well, yes, to start off, you can option your Q50 with an all-wheel drive system that adds $2,000 to the price tag. And then there's an option of a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine, which is a very powerful engine. Now, there was a hybrid engine for the Q50, but Infiniti decided to discontinue it, so you can only get this base 2-liter engine or the 3-liter twin-turbo V6. The base engine in our tester comes in at a surprise when you test its full potential. The figures aren't that impressive, but the high torque rate makes for some mind-blowing accelerations for a 4-cylinder. Infiniti claims an average fuel economy of 25 miles per gallon, but we averaged just under 18 in our 2-day test drive. The more powerful V6 found in the upper trims is the derived version of the GTRs, with a maximum output of 400 horsepower in the Q50 Red Sport 400. Only the Q50s optioned with the V6 get paddle shifters. Now, as far as start space goes in the Q50, well, it's pretty decent. You have 2 cup holders right here. Then opening up the center console, you have 2 USB ports with an AUX input and a 12-volt power outlet right there. And it's pretty wide. You can put small stuff, keys, phones, and that's basically it. It's not that deep. And then reaching out to the glove box, as you can see, it's like nicely curved over here. You open that up, and also pretty decent size. Not that big, doesn't go through there very well, but it's pretty decent. But the door bins, unfortunately, aren't that big. You cannot fit big balls of water right here. Just like small balls of water, maybe small cups. 2, you have a speaker right here, and speaker on top, and a speaker right here. You have a lot of speakers in this car, and you have a small cubby space right here. But that's basically it. Now let's check out if the trunk is pretty big. Opening up the trunk in the Q50, you have 378 liters of boot space, and it sits pretty well between the 3 Series and the C-Class, and it has a pretty decent size. It's wide, so you have a lot of boot space, and you can fold down the rear seats to these handles right here. Just pull them on each side, and then you go back to the back seat and put them forward. So there's that. Now let's go ahead and check out the back seat of the Q50. So getting into the back of the Q50. Now, front legroom is actually better than the rear. Look, I'm 185 centimeters and legroom is pretty decent. It's not the best in the world, but it's still pretty good. Then you have like these small cubby spaces here and there. And then headroom, if you had to look at headroom is kind of bad. My head is touching the roof, but I'm sitting really upright. If I pull down a bit, maybe it's gonna be pretty good. And then in the center, we have an armrest with 2 cup holders right here, which is nice. And then as you can see, we have a huge hump in the center, so no way for a person to put their feet here. And by the way, right here you have an ashtray also. So like sitting in the middle, let's try that right now. Let me just show you that. Headroom is actually pretty bad. I can't actually sit very well. It's like for small children, maybe sitting in the center. But it isn't the best place for adults to sit in here. But again, you have this view of the interior. What do you guys think of the interior of the Q50? Since its release in 2014, there hasn't been any major changes on the inside, nor outside as a matter of fact. Last year, the steering wheel was updated alongside the gear shifter to give the interior a sportier overall feel. But even after this mild upgrade, the cabin still feels dated compared to its rivals. Don't get me wrong, everything works perfectly and most people will love using the technology Infiniti is offering. But it wouldn't be fair not to compare it to the German car makers because Infiniti has all the features to become a replacement for your 3 Series or Audi A4. It's just that at this point in 2019, when all the manufacturers are moving along with technology, that the Q50 is starting to lose its presence in this fight of luxury sedans. For those of you interested, here's the 1-minute tour of the touchscreen. Feel free to skip this part for the exterior walk around and the test drive. So guys, now let's take an exterior walk around of the new Q50. Now when I say new, it's a 2019 model, but again it's the same body style since 2014. You have minor refreshments on the front, but then again it's like really subtle. It's really cool that you have as standard LED headlights on the Q50, headlights and taillights of course, and you have these chrome accents on the bottom with this very aggressive grille. I really like the way this front looks. It's really aggressive and sporty. Even though this is like the base model, wait to see like this sport, red sport model, which is like really aggressive. Going on to the side, we have 18-inch alloy wheels, which look really good and classy. And then coming on, as you can see, all chromed out. Right here you have this door handle. Of course, this is a keyless entry, just like press the button to lock it and then slide your hand in to unlock it. And then the door handles are all chrome, and all around the car, they're like this design element on the side. And then going on to the rear, as you can see, the taillights are light up, all LEDs, and I really like the way these taillights are designed. You have a Q50 emblem over there. You have two exhaust tips with a nice sporty diffuser, if you can say that. And then again you have sensors of course, with the rear view camera being directly below the Infiniti emblem. The Infiniti Q50 is a replacement of the G37, later renamed as the Q40 in 2014. One of the main changes done in 2018 is the more aggressive front grille and sportier lower bumper. The LED lights are still the same and offer very good visibility at night. The rear now looks way better with new tinted rear taillights and a new diffuser at the bottom. The chrome accents were reduced to just one chrome bar connecting the taillights, and the rear reflectors were also removed for a cleaner overall look. So guys, we're headed for a test drive in the Q50, and I've been driving it for 2 days now, and there's a lot of things I wanted to talk about concerning how this car feels when you're driving it. To start off with the steering wheel, I mean, it's really nice to hold. I really like the way it feels, but the steering feel in this car is kind of vague. It's on the heavier side, especially when maneuvering, but you kind of feel it's a bit vague when cornering. It's like gets light. I don't know how to explain it, but it isn't as precise as I would like it to be. But then pulling on the throttle right now, I mean, this car pulls, man. We have 350 Nm of torque in this car, which helps for this acceleration. The Q50 can accelerate in 7.2 seconds for its 0 to 100 sprint. For most buyers, this 2-liter turbo is enough for almost everything, and I personally think the upgrade for a V6 isn't worth it for everyday commutes. The turbocharger sound is something of a delight and whooshes angrily, especially after a spirited drive. It never lets you forget it's a JDM at the core. Now we have 3 driving modes in the Q50. We have standard, sport and snow. Now to directly start with snow, the cool thing about this driving mode is that it's really helpful when you're going on these slippery surfaces. The car doesn't like accelerate like you want it to. When you're flowing it, I mean the RPMs just like stays the same, but then going through standard mode, it's like the normal standard mode that you'd want in the car. It like's really precise. When you want to accelerate, it's I mean it's right there, but like putting it in sport and then putting it in manual and accelerating is really easy. Sometimes you feel that the rear wiggles a bit under power, which is really nice. It is honestly amazing how nimble the Q50 is. It weighs 1,665 kilograms, but it never feels heavy nor underpowered. In fact, you can thrash it through corners like it's a hot hatch, with a taste of body roll. Maybe visibility is on the poorer side, with beefy side pillars and a relatively restricted rear window, but it isn't near as to have bad visibility, especially with nice cutouts on the C-pillar. The cabin feels airy and uncluttered thanks to large windows and a sunroof. Now we're gonna do another pull right now to see the Q50's full power. Let's do that right now. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Wow, that was pretty impressive. Wow. The car accelerates in such poise, but then again, you hear a lot going on in this car. There's a lot of engine noise. I want to talk about that. It's a bit of a negative in this car. It's not refined at all, unfortunately. The car is 1.6 tons, so it isn't light, but you don't feel the car as very heavy. The engine does a really good job, actually, like pulling the car forward, so you don't feel like it's very heavy. It's a Mercedes-Benz sourced engine, which is the base engine, but I mean, it's good, it does the job great. You can opt for the 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine, which is actually pretty fast in the more expensive upper trims. Now, looking back at the interior with the two screens and the displays that you have in this car, it's actually very advanced, but it feels like a 2014 car, unfortunately. I mean, for 2019 you would expect a faster screen, more high quality display and all of that, but unfortunately Infiniti hasn't done any changes since then, and they're not planning to do that until they change the whole Q50 platform, which is kind of a shame. I mean, the screen is really good, but it's a bit laggy, and the quality of the screen isn't that good for a 2019 model car. But again, the car is offering a lot for the money. $40,000 in Lebanon is actually a pretty good price for what Infiniti is offering. It competes against the 3 Series and the C-Class. Now, it isn't at that level yet, especially in this car. Maybe it was in 2014, 2015, in like the early stages, but now after 5 years, you feel like all the Germans are going forward and the Infiniti is kind of lagging behind. I mean, I really like driving this car. It's really smooth. It has a lot of features that you'd really appreciate, but not in 2019. I mean, that's the whole point I'm talking about. The Q50 is not perfect. It's not that Infiniti cannot do better, it's just that they don't want to. It seems like the Japanese luxury brand are slowing things down for their best-selling sedan for no apparent reason. However, this doesn't mean the Q50 isn't likable as it is. The interior is nicely thought about with interesting details and a user-friendly overall cabin. In my 48-hour test drive, I was surprised how easily you get used to everything and you enjoy it. If you think about it, you're getting so much for the money, and it's all offered in a handsome body style. Ride quality is sensible, and you can juice out so much from its base 4-cylinder engine. The Q50 is one of these cars that will make you look rich at a very affordable price, because it's an Infiniti. It actually was my first time experiencing one of their vehicles, and you can be sure it's not going to be my last. So guys, that's it for the Q50. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. And until then, take care everybody. See you soon.